Hey everyone! So in today's video, we have a very exciting one. I'm going to be covering quite a few items that I absolutely love from Credo because they are having like their big Black Friday sale, 20% off site-wide, and these are like my absolute holy grail products. But some of you might remember I did cover their friends and family sale last month, but since then I've been trying out a bunch of newer items that I haven't tried out before, and I found some really beautiful makeup that I wanted to cover today. So I'm going to cover some of like the holy grail tried and true products that you guys have seen before on my channel, but I'm also going to be covering some newer holy grails that I haven't even mentioned on my channel yet. One of the newer items, for example, is like the wet glossiness that is on my eyes right now, and I can't get over it. Credo's very kindly sponsoring the video, and because they gave me a code to let you guys into the sale a day early before everyone else. So I'll leave the code and link to get into the sale down below. And I'll also leave the sale dates below in case you guys aren't watching this the actual day that I post this. I feel like some sales can be a little bit overwhelming, so I really wanted to make this video a little bit more concise. So first, let's talk about one of my new favorite items that I tried out. This is a newer launch from Mob Beauty, and this is their Sparkle Balm. I have the shade M130, and if you're not familiar with Mob Beauty, they actually have like the cardboard containers and then these inserts that you put in. So they're refillable, recyclable. But I was so excited for this in particular. As you guys know, I really love a wet, glossy looking sparkle. And essentially this is a wet sparkle within a balm formula. It's very special in my opinion. It's more of a warm glitter, but it's not overly orange either, which I really appreciate. I've found to be really lovely about this formula in particular is that, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I really like it because it is more of that cream balm texture. There's a little bit of a base pigment to it, but it's relatively transparent. What I really enjoy about it is because it does have a little bit more of that balm texture. When it goes onto the lids, it looks extra wet because it's a little creamier, but then the sparkles are really fine and pretty. You could certainly use this only on the eyes, but you could use it on the cheeks as well. What I also really enjoy about it is it doesn't remain really tacky on the eyes. It's not like a gloss formula, which can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable. This kind of sets down a touch. Now, in my opinion, it will crease. Like, it's not a completely crease resistant product. And if you want like a crease resistant cream shadow, I have some of those in the video. This is better for those of you that really like that kind of wet glossy effect on the lids without a lot of creasing, without a lot of that like kind of awkward texture that some glosses can have. I've just been really impressed with it. It's very pretty and really nice for that kind of just that finishing touch to a makeup look right on the middle of the eyes. That's how I do it. Now the other product on my eyes is a shade that I told you guys I wanted to try out from RMS. I have the shade Spark as well, but this is the shade Strobe. I do have it now and have been testing it. This is my new favorite liquid shadow. The reason being is it's just such a gorgeous kind of taupey champagne. I put it into the crease all over the eyes and it just adds this really soft, really like luminescent eye look. It also lasts incredibly well on the eyes, and I love shades like this in particular in a formula like this because it just makes perfect sense for every day. It's going to last on the eyes. It's going to add this really soft kind of taupey champagne glimmer to the eyes without it being a really overdone color. At least on my skin tone, this makes for like the perfect everyday one and done. I remember the first time I used this, I had like finished up my makeup look and I actually was trying out a couple of the other items I'm gonna talk about, and I was like, hold on. My makeup had not looked that good in a while. Like everything had come together for, you know when you just have one of those days where you're like, whoa, My makeup is extra on point. For me, it was kind of the combination of some of the textures we're going to talk about. I had used this into the crease and then the Mob Beauty sparkle on the lids, which is pretty much what I did today. And it just really stood out to me. Really a beautiful find. I'm so glad that I have that. And honestly, now I'm curious again. I'm like, what other shades do you guys think I would like? This to me is kind of like the perfect shade. I will say, I wish it wasn't in this metal tube. Like, I feel like it's a little messy and the product kind of comes out. But other than that, I really have absolutely no complaints. Okay, I'm really excited about the blush that I tried out recently that I am absolutely enamored with, but I want to first talk about some of like my staple items really fast. I gotta tell you, I've been getting a lot of comments specifically on my Instagram about what mascaras I've been using, and I did do a recent video of like my entire mascara collection, but I'm just gonna kind of condense that video to the next minute and tell you all that these are my two Holy Grail mascaras. They are both carried at Credo and they're both 20% off. So if you want a really pretty wide open fluffy lash look, more of that kind of angelic, kind of bedroom eyes kind of look, but still a lot of lift, the Levitation Lash from Rich Well Defee is where it's at. This is like one coat and I could easily, I mean, I can show you guys right now, I could easily build this up and get a really pretty, more dramatic lash. I'm telling you, I have not been this impressed with a mascara in a long time. Actually, the last time I was this impressed with a mascara is when I tried out the Tower 28. So I would just say that if you do prefer more of a bristle mascara and you want a really fluffy lash, not a lash that's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of mascara, but more so a lash that's like, your lashes look really pretty, your eyes look really framed. It's not clumpy, it's not really heavy, but it still has pretty volume. It's still very black. It also wears really beautifully as well. So Rich Well Defee Levitation Lash, absolutely gorgeous. But if you do prefer more of a rubberized bristle, my top pick would be the Tower 28 Make Waves. This one has been beautiful for me because it really builds. I can go for like one coat and I have a really pretty soft, kind of more defined lash look, but you can certainly build this up and your lashes are like absolutely huge and they're not going to, it's not going to go spidery or really clumpy as you keep building. Because of the wand and the formula, they've done a really beautiful job of making that very unlikely. And I will say that the lashes just look really fanned out. It does a beautiful job of framing the eyes and making your eyes look huge. I really enjoy it. I kind of want to put on a little bit right now. The formula is incredibly black and it just kind of makes it look like you have like twice the lashes that you do. If you really take your time with this and add like 3 coats, it will give you that kind of false lash effect. So these are my top 2 recommendations as far as mascaras go. Now let's talk about that blush I was mentioning. This is the RMS Redimension Hydra Powder Blush. Beautiful formula. It does feel like kind of a baked gel formula. It doesn't readily put off an absolute ton of pigment. This kind of gelée formula that's then baked, that's what this strikes me as. These formulas, I think, are like the updated version of a baked, like a classic baked blush formula. They feel and look a little bit creamier and more skin-like, on my skin at least. I gotta tell you, this shade, Maiden's Blush, is perfection. If you love a terracotta blush, if you love that kind of sun-kissed glow, if you just want a warmth, this blush gives it to you. It's the perfect like blush bronzer shade. I have been loving it. It's so glowy without it being like a physically sparkly blush, which I feel like is incredibly difficult to get with a powder formula. And you know what? I will say, I feel like a lot of folks tend to reach for powder blushes during the winter time. I mean, I love a cream blush during the wintertime all year round, but I feel like this is just such a perfect blush to give you a little bit more of a glowy look without you having to reach for a cream blush. I love the way it wears. I love the shade. I want other shades. I'm just so impressed with it. I don't know why I didn't try it earlier. Definitely one of my top recommendations of the list, I think. I mean, those are the two like main RMS products that I've been absolutely in love with. Since I opened this, there hasn't been another blush on my face, honestly. Shall we talk about the lips? So I have two products on my lips today. I have the True Botanicals Moisture Lock Glossy Balm. This is the absolutely gorgeous red shade. It is really beautiful. This to me is like the perfect hydrating red lip without you having to go the full like, I'm gonna commit to a red lip. Like for winter, I feel like this is such a good item. It really hydrates the lips, but what I like about it is it feels like it kind of sinks into them. It's not like just sitting on the surface looking pretty, like it's actually doing the work. But what's on my lips as a liner is the All Smiles Bare lip liner from Exa, and this is the shade, what shade is this? Bare Your Hopes. It is one of those perfect formulas that goes onto the lips really smoothly, but it's not like applying a full-on like lipstick to your lips. It has that perfect formula where it can be very precise and you can kind of like cheat the lip line a little bit. But again, it's not like really stiff and waxy and it's not overly creamy, so it feels like it's kind of acting as a lipstick would. This combo has been really treating me well, but I will say, I did mention these in my last video, gotta mention them again, the Rituel de Fille Thorn Bite Peptide Plump Lip Creams. As far as a winter lip product that is really going to heal the lips but also look aesthetically gorgeous, I'm gonna say look no further. I think these are my absolute favorite. I don't think that you can go wrong because they do this beautiful job of adding this glossy, glassy effect to the lips. Definitely a decent amount of pigment if you try like some of the shades. Like the shade Rose Dew, for example, this isn't really a shade. It's just kind of like more of a light pink clear kind of shade. It doesn't really add much pigment to the lips, but if you want a true pigment product that is going to offer you this creamy, like liquid plush lip balm texture that feels really comforting on the lips, they are just so good. The shades, Rituel de Fille knows how to do shades. And every time I go back and look at the shades, like the swatches are incredible. They're really elegant shades that just most brands are just not coming out with, in my opinion. And I will say as a lip prep product, like Best of Beauty 2023, it has been the Rose Dew from Rituel de Fille. It just does an insane job of like plumping my lips and giving them that bouncy look. Just an incredible one. Now, I know not all of you want a one and done shadow that is a cream, but I also have an option for more of a hybrid formula. You guys know the drill. I love the Rituel de Fille Ashen Ember Eye Soots. And in specific, if you were looking for something similar to Strobe and you just don't want a cream, this, I will say really fast, the Strobe RMS cream shadow reminds me of a cream version of like the Rituel de Fille Ashen Ember Eye Soots. Like these kind of dry down and they last really well, whereas these kind of warm up in the brush and then go down to that like sooty, pretty, melt into the lid look. And they just have this really gorgeous sultry effect. That's what I love about the Ashen Ember Eye Soots. It's like the perfect smoky, you didn't try bedroom eyes, really with like whatever shade you choose. But I want to specifically mention Half Light because Half Light I think is very similar to Strobe. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a bouncing off point, you know, depending on whatever formula you want within a shade like this, I do think you can find it. What I love about these is the way they reflect, but they're so thin and again have this more kind of sooty texture to them. They're so thin on the lids while also offering just this incredible definition. I think they're very magical. I think you kind of have to try them to understand how beautiful the formula is, but essentially the formula is a pigment with an oil mixed in. And then when you put it onto the eyes, it kind of melts and creates this really sooty, sultry look. So I did want to go ahead and mention that the Ashen Ember eye slits are also 20% off, and the Celestial Spheres also are. This is the old packaging, this is the new packaging, which these are my favorite kind of cream eyeshadow mixed with a gloss formula. Like if you love playing with glosses, with textures, you just want that really insane glossy effect with shades that actually add dimension to a look, I definitely recommend these. I think they're a very magical, fun product. I get so many questions about this shade, Serpens. It's like a green gold, and especially this time of year, like going into the festive season. Whenever I wear this, and I do wear it a lot during this time of year, someone asks me about it. Have really, really loved that one for years. These are very good. By the way, speaking of like the festive season as far as like gift giving goes, I wanted to call out this newer wash. Now this is way more of a first impression. It is the Bathing Culture Mind and Body Wash. This is the scent Cathedral Grove. Getting something like this for a friend, a family member, 9 times out of 10, something like this is gonna go over really well. Absolutely gorgeous bottle. They said it smells like jumping into a river on a hot day under a canopy of redwoods. It smells so good. It has this really fresh herbal scent to it that also kind of comes down to more of that Your Skin But Better musk note. Like I definitely get some sandalwood. I get a little bit of like a citrus note. You don't need a lot. It's pretty concentrated. But I gotta tell you, like, as far as gift giving goes, there are a lot of sets that Credo also has. I'll leave some of my favorite sets down below. But I wanted to mention this body wash in particular because I just think the scent is really addictive. Speaking of scents, Degcoltant. I feel like every time I bring this up in a video, it's looking more and more sparse. I just gotta tell you guys, like, this is still one of my holy grail fragrances. I would definitely call this, at this point, one of my signature fragrances. You know, it has that amber note, but it's not overwhelmingly amber. To me, it feels like a more refined skin version of like that amber sandalwood smell. A little bit softer, a touch more sweetness, so that it feels to me a little bit more refined. They just did an absolutely bang up job of creating a fragrance. I absolutely cannot get enough. Deadcool has like their discovery set on Credo, I believe as well, all of their minis. So that's also a really beautiful gift if you want to give it to like a perfume lover. You want them to be able to find their own fragrance that they really enjoy. Just like my 2 Holy Grail mascaras are at Credo, my 2 Holy Grail concealers are also at Credo. I have the Tower 28 Serum Concealer and the Kosas Revealer Concealer. Now, I think you could absolutely go with either. If you want something a little bit more hydrating, just a touch thicker, I would go with the Kosas Revealer, but you could also go with the new Serum Concealer from Tower 28. This is just a little bit thinner, very spreadable. So I think you just got to go back to some of the concealers that you've liked in the past. Do they tend to have this more thick emollient texture? I would say go with the Revealer. If you want something a little bit more lightweight, I would go with the Tower 28. Both of these will do an excellent job of looking beautifully reflective under the eyes in a way that kind of conceals any hollowness. So if you in particular deal with darkness, these also do have a great medium coverage, but I really like it because I don't have to choose. I get really nice medium coverage, but I also get a formula that reflects under the eyes to kind of flatten out those hollows and make everything look smoother and not as deep set. So that's why I always go back to these. That's why they are a standby. Quick side note about cream blushes. I'm gonna go ahead and make this the cream blush recommendation of the video. The Rituel de Fille Color Nectar Pigment Balms. My love affair is like back in full swing with these. The reason being is that they're so perfect as like that final touch product. They still have a bit of translucence to them, so they make for the perfect, like, just add it to the tops of the cheeks, like a cheek stain with a balm formula that still melts down into the skin. They're not really glossy on the cheeks, which I think some people hear a balm and they're like, oh, it's gonna be weird on the cheeks. It's not. I think that they are such a special formula in shades that are equally as special. I really wanted to call out these again because since my last Credo video, I have not put them back in my drawers. They've just been out and being used. I wanted to give a shout out again to the Mob Beauty Cream Clay Shadows. I have the beautiful purple and mint green, but I also have this new shade. It's M105, and look at this. This is just like such a good example of this formula and this texture. Do you see how just like one swipe into the pigment gave me all of that? These have such an interesting texture because they're creamy. They feel kind of like, they kind of have that cream clay texture, but then down onto the lids, they are thin and really lock in for a long wear effect. But you can see, like, I can still blend them. Really a wild formula and very affordable. I can personally see this shade and some of the other shades being beautiful one and done shadows that will last all day. So I wanted to give another shout out to these because I think that they're very special. And my final recommendation are the Exa All Smiles lip oils. They have a lot of different shades, but in particular, I love the cherry and the plum. Maybe I'll show you a little bit of both now that I have all this eyeshadow all over me. This is the shade Optimist. I'll put it on this half. Gorgeous fruity smell to them. So that is Optimist over the shades that I already had. Just a really beautiful, more lightweight lip oil, and I tend to not prefer a lightweight lip oil, but I really like these because they feel low maintenance. They feel like a very thin gloss rather than a really slippy lip oil. And then Seeker, which is the plum, this is my favorite. Look at that. They have that beautiful translucence. Oh, my earring just came out. Yeah, Seeker is pretty perfect for this time of the year. And those were all of my recommendations for the Credo Black Friday sale. Again, it's 20% off site-wide, and I will leave everything that I talked about in today's video down below, but I'll also leave you guys my wish list of items that I am peeking at. So my wish list of like gift sets that I think could be good for me to pick up for like friends and family, and then also like some other items that I could potentially also pick up at 20% off. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will leave my code to the sale, the 20% off code, as well as my link down below. It'll be like the first link that you see. Always, thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in my next one.